The news started with this piece of information.
After years of construction and decades of planning, the Gordie Howe International Bridge appears to be closer than ever to opening. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney has publicly confirmed a ribbon-cutting ceremony is scheduled for Friday. U.S. Senator Gary Peters recently secured confirmation from DHS Secretary Markwayne Mullen that Customs and Border Protection is staffed and prepared to facilitate trade and travel at the crossing.
This piece of information was then followed by another, a bombshell piece of information, a contradiction to the first. Take a listen.
The cake was cut, the champagne chilled, and the invitation sent to open a new symbol of Canada-U.S. relations on Friday. But the Gordie Howe Bridge ribbon cutting has been cancelled at the last second. Canada and the United States have agreed to delay the opening of the bridge, taking the necessary time to resolve any outstanding issues, the Windsor-Detroit Bridge Authority said. What issues Canada has isn't clear, but U.S. President Donald Trump has made his objections known, saying in February he wouldn't give needed permits until the United States is fully compensated for everything we've given them. The White House told Global News the president hasn't changed his position on the bridge, now putting its opening at the center of trade talks.
So, as you have noticed, Canada finally had a date. After years of lawsuits, delays, political pressure, construction battles, and warnings about one private bridge controlling too much of North American trade, the Gordie Howe International Bridge was heading for its public moment. A ribbon-cutting ceremony had been scheduled for Friday, June 12, 2026. The bridge was expected to open soon after. The lanes were ready, the structure was complete, and one of the most important trade corridors in North America looked ready to change forever. Then, one day before the ceremony, the United States asked for a delay, and suddenly the real lesson became impossible to ignore. Canada did not just build a bridge. Canada financed a $6.4 billion trade corridor, roughly US $4.7 billion, only to see its opening delayed by unresolved Canada-U.S. issues. This is not just about paperwork. It is not only about customs coordination, technical procedures, or diplomatic language. It exposes a brutal rule of global trade. The country that finances a route does not automatically control it. Real power belongs to whoever holds the keys to the gate. To understand why this matters, we have to connect it to the story we have already followed on this channel. In our earlier bridge videos, we looked at the long fight over the Ambassador Bridge. For decades, that privately owned crossing dominated the Detroit-Windsor trade corridor, one of the most important commercial routes between Canada and the United States. Auto parts, machinery, agricultural goods, manufactured products, and cross-border supply chains depend on this route every day. When trucks move between Windsor and Detroit, they are not just carrying cargo. They are carrying the operating system of North American production. That is why the bridge war mattered. Canada did not want one aging private bridge to remain the main commercial artery for such a critical corridor. One strike, one protest, one structural issue, one political fight, or one disruption at that crossing could send pressure through auto plants, suppliers, truckers, border communities, and manufacturers on both sides. So Canada made a huge counter-move. It backed the Gordie Howe International Bridge, a modern public crossing, highway-to-highway connectivity, larger border plazas, more capacity, more redundancy, and less dependence on the Ambassador Bridge monopoly. In our previous reports, we framed this as Canada's attempt to end the choke point problem. Canada wanted a second major gate into the same trade corridor, one that could reduce the monopoly power of the old system and protect the movement of goods across one of the most valuable borders in the world. But now the latest delay reveals a deeper problem. Canada may have weakened the private gatekeeper, but it still cannot open the international gate alone. That is the hidden weakness in cross-border infrastructure. You can finance the bridge, you can build the bridge, you can paint the lanes, install the signs, prepare the plazas, and plan the ceremony. But if the other country asks for more time before activating its side of the crossing, the corridor still cannot function. A bridge across an international border is not only concrete and steel, It is customs authority, staffing, security protocols, tolling systems, legal permissions, inspection rules, data systems, and political consent. Without those things, a completed bridge is still just an empty structure over water. That is why the June delay matters. Officially, both countries are talking about outstanding issues and final coordination. Prime Minister Mark Carney has tried to keep the tone calm, suggesting that a short delay is worth it for a bridge meant to serve both countries for decades. That may be smart diplomacy, but nobody should pretend this delay happened in a political vacuum. Earlier this year, Donald Trump threatened to block the bridge's opening unless Canada made concessions. Reports said he demanded that the United States receive at least half ownership of the bridge. Other reporting and political letters raised concerns about toll revenue, compensation, and whether the bridge deal was being reopened under pressure. So, when the opening is suddenly delayed after a US request, just as the ribbon cutting was about to happen, the phrase "outstanding issues" starts to sound much heavier. Maybe some details are technical, border operations are complicated, and final procedures do matter. But when a Canada-financed bridge faces a last-minute delay after earlier ownership and toll-related demands from Washington, the story becomes much bigger than routine administration. It becomes a question of leverage. Canada paid because the economic logic was clear: build the route now, recover the investment over time through tolls, reduce congestion, protect supply chains, and give North America a better trade crossing for the next generation. On paper, that was bold. In practice, it created an uncomfortable asymmetry. Canada carried the financial burden, but the United States still controls essential access on the American side. That is not a small detail. That is the gate. And in trade, the gate is where power lives. This is why Windsor Mayor Drew Dilkens' response matters. His message was blunt. Canada should not fall on bent knee just to get the bridge open. That line captures what many people in border communities already understand. Windsor has waited for this project. Michigan has waited. Truckers have waited. Manufacturers have waited. The entire regional supply chain has waited for relief from the old crossing pressure, but opening the bridge at any cost could set a dangerous precedent. If Washington learns that a last-minute delay can force Canada back to the table over ownership, tolls, or border terms, then delay itself becomes a bargaining tool. Today, it is a bridge. Tomorrow, it could be autos, or energy, or critical minerals, or border technology, or agriculture, or defense procurement. That is how leverage works. Once one side discovers that access can be slowed to extract concessions, access becomes part of the negotiation, and that is the bigger TradEconomics lesson. Trade infrastructure is never neutral. A bridge is not just a bridge. A port is not just a port. A pipeline is not just a pipeline. A railway is not just a railway. Every corridor has rules, gatekeepers, permits, tolls, customs systems, ownership structures, and political vulnerabilities. Canada's mistake was not building the bridge. The Gordie Howe International Bridge is still a necessary project. It gives the region a second major crossing. It reduces overdependence on the Ambassador Bridge. It strengthens logistics, adds redundancy, improves long-term trade capacity, and gives one of North America's most important corridors a modern alternative. The mistake would be assuming that paying for infrastructure automatically means controlling its use. That is the illusion this delay has exposed. Canada won the construction battle. It built the crossing that private interests resisted for years. It financed the corridor. It created the alternative route. But the opening delay shows Canada has not fully won the control battle. Real trade sovereignty means more than pouring concrete and signing contracts. It means understanding who can slow the flow when politics changes, and that is why this bridge has become a symbol of Canada's larger relationship with the United States. Canada and America are allies. Their economies are deeply integrated. Their factories share supply chains. Their workers depend on the same production networks. Their border is not just a line on a map. It is a working system that keeps goods, jobs, and factories moving. But integration does not erase power imbalance. The United States is larger, louder, and more willing to use access as leverage. Canada often behaves as if agreements, goodwill, and technical logic are enough. This delay reminds us that in a hard political moment, even a completed bridge can become a bargaining chip. That does not mean Canada should panic. The bridge will likely open because both economies need it. Ontario needs it. Michigan needs it. Truckers need it. Auto suppliers need it. And border communities need it. The economic logic is too strong for this bridge to sit unused forever. But the lesson will remain. After all the back and forth, after the lawsuits, after the monopoly fight, after the political threats, after Canada financed the corridor, and the ceremony was finally scheduled, the opening still depended on American cooperation at the gate. So, was this just another technical delay, or did Washington effectively use the final gate as leverage one more time? That is the question. Canada built a world-class gateway to secure its trade future, yet at the final moment, that gateway still depended on US permission. The country that finances a route does not automatically control it. The real power belongs to whoever holds the keys to the gate. So, what do you think? Should Canada hold the line until the bridge opens on fair terms, or should Ottawa compromise quickly to get trade moving? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this is not just a bridge story. It is a test of how much control Canada really has over the trade routes it pays for. And if this breakdown helped you see the bigger economic picture, hit the like button, share this video with someone following Canada-US trade tensions, subscribe to TradEconomics, and turn on notifications for more analysis on trade, economics, infrastructure, and geopolitics beyond the headlines.